Hello again, everyone. Well, I've just waved goodbye to my nephew and his family. I picked them up from the cruise terminal in Southampton after their 10-day cruise, whatever it was. I had a really good time, and they're now on their way home. So just before I start getting lunch preparations underway, I thought I would try and do a really quick card. I say this every time, and I go on forever, but I would like it to be quick today. We'll see. So this is my card and my panel. It's my normal small card, which is half a sheet of A4, cut down the length and tent folded, with a panel cut with my Sizzix nesting die, which is just slightly smaller than the front of the card. And that one I think is set 2, which is British dimensions rather than the ones from the US, which are slightly wider and shorter. Anyway, what I thought I would do today is simply a couple of little flowers, and I'm not really sure if these are supposed to be bluebells or lily of the valley, but I'm going to colour them as if they're bluebells. But it doesn't matter, does it? And they're going to peek through a little aperture. I don't know what this die is, actually. I don't know where I got that from. I've got a set of 3 odd-shaped rings. They're not circular. They're just odd-shaped rings, but I kind of like them. So I'm going to pop those so that they peek through the aperture. And behind the aperture, I thought I'd use another Gummiapan stamp, which is just this vague background stamp, which is got a bunch of numbers and I don't know what else. So as Gummiapan stamps don't have any cling on the back, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of my acrylic block, and I'll pop this on the top. Now I intend doing this on a little piece of card. This is one of my offcuts to pop up behind the aperture. So let's just kind of get going. I think I will do this on a cushion of some description, so that there's no cushion on there, so I will try and get as good an impression as I can. So here's my offcut from one of my cards. I've got some Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide, and I'm just going to ink up this stamp. Doesn't matter really about ink on the edges of this because it's going to go behind the aperture, hopefully. So let's see, have we got enough ink on there? I've put a little arrow, actually, if I'm using it straight onto a card, so that I know which is the top, because although it's not terribly obvious, there are some numbers here which you can see, and some there which obviously could do with being the correct way up. So let's just see what we've got here. That will do fine. As I say, it doesn't matter about the bits at the side. I saw that there was ink on the side, but that's going to be behind the aperture, so we won't worry about that. We'll leave that to dry for just a moment, and we will cut the aperture. And I fancy it kind of in this corner here somewhere, so that they will be sort of peeking through. I think that'll do, probably about there. So I'm going to cut that out. I have already cut those from another piece, and I've left them in the piece of card from which they were cut, so that they will stay still while I colour them. So I'm using a different base plate here just to cut my front panel. Let's have a look at this. So there's my aperture. This is going to go behind the aperture like that. It's quite nice. I'll just chop this off. Okay, that's going to go behind the aperture. Just about like that. So now I'm just going to colour. This should be really quick, shouldn't it? I say this every day. Let's just colour these. I've picked out some colours, and I found myself using the mix of colours before. G220 and 240 for the stems and the leaves, and PB1 and B350, I think it is. Put a pair of glasses on, let's just see. 380, I beg its pardon. 380. Was that the one I intended? No, I actually wanted 350. I think that's going to be too dark. Let me find 350. 290. That's the one, 350. Okay, right. I should wear my glasses more often, shouldn't I? So let's do the flowers first, and I'm just going to put some bits on the edges like this. I don't intend layering these. I suppose I could have done, but I was just going to put one layer on because they're so delicate. Okay, it's the deeper blue. Let's put the lighter blue on. Now I'll just do the stems. I think I'll just put the lighter one all over and then just see what happens thereafter. I'm actually wondering whether to put a cut one over the top. You get such a clear delineation between the colours, but it doesn't look too bad actually. I'll put a little bit of the darker shading on. This would be very difficult trying to hold it with a pair of tweezers or whatever. But if you put them back into the card, it's often easier. A bit down there. Okay. Oh, let's do the leaves. That one came out. Oops. If you want to keep them in, you can always put a piece of tape across the back just to hold them while you do the colouring. Okay, let's take a look and see what these are like now. Here's my pieces. Often it's easier to push a die cut through the back rather than in the front. Don't know why that should be. There we go. There's a tiny bit in there. Okay. And then a couple of leaves. Just like this. I think that's going to be pretty. And a sentiment. I don't know what I'll do. I may do another hello. I'm in the mood for hello cards, so who knows. Right, next thing, some foam tape. Just around this aperture and around the edge of the front panel. Right, this has to go, whoops, onto there. I must be careful to make sure that this will actually fit and there's no foam tape to stop it from going down below. So I think I can cope with this. So let's just do this. Okay, see where we want this positioned. Just there, I think. Okay, a bit close to the edge. I'm just going to have to snip a bit off this. Okay, put a bit of extra glue over that. So let's just have a look at these flowers. These are going to have a bit of glue. There's a little bit in there, a little tiny bit needs poking out. Can you see? Right there. There we go. They're so delicate. Yes, I think I'm going to do, before I put them in, some of my glitter gloss on the just on the actual flowers themselves, I think. This is Nuvo. It's a sparkle pen. Brush, should we say, and it's called Glitter Gloss. I believe they do different colours, but this is the one I like. It's very like Wink of Stella, but I think it's a bit more twinkly. So pretty. There we go. Right, that's the pen. Nuvo, that way up. Glitter Gloss. Okie dokie, let's put some glue on this. So a little bit on the stem. Leaf. Just needs a tiny bit of glue. Just need to put some more adhesive on this bit. There we go. Simplest of cards. Be right back to do a sentiment. I've had a look through my sentiment stamps, and I did find a hello, a small one, and this is a very old set from Clearly Besotted. So I used hickory smoke in there. It's a nice sort of colour for the background, but I was thinking if I used my VersaFine Clair Morning Mist for the sentiment, it might be just slightly crisper and the stamping with hickory smoke of the Distress Oxide. So I've got a bit more of my scrap here. Just going to stamp this. Give it a moment just to transfer. There's my hello. And I'd like to cut that out, but I couldn't find a sentiment die that I liked. I wanted to have one that's got stitching of some description, so I thought I'd just go with this and use, it's a pennant or a flag, I don't know what you call it really. I don't want the fishtail end, I just want the square-ish end. So we'll just cut this from both directions so that we get a rectangular little panel, little sentiment strip or whatever. So let me just tape this around one end, just a little bit of low tack tape, like that, and we'll cut so far and stop and then go back again. So in we go to the die cutting machine, cut part way and come back out. Now let's have a look at this. Take it off that end, turn around the sentiment, put it on this end. Now I've got to make sure that those little notches are in the teeth marks that have been already made, so that we don't get double dips of stitching. We want it to be, you know, look as if it's just been done with one die. Well, it was done with one die, wasn't it? But one die with one pass through. Right, there we go. So there's our hello, and that can go, I think, about here. And do I want it on foam tape? I think I might put it just flat onto the card. So I'll just put a little glue. I often use my tape runner for these kind of things, but the glue was on the table, it was handy, so I'll use it. Right, on we go. And this was one of the quickest cards that I think I actually have done. And, you know, I think that looks really, really classy. And it was done in literally moments, actually. An aperture in the front panel, a quick bit of stamping behind, 2 little die cuts, a little bit of colour, and an sentiment. Absolutely done in no time. So there we go. It's a quick one today. As I say, I'm a bit pushed for time, but I hope those of you who look at Facebook as well will take a look at the post I put on today, because I did show a picture of the card I made for Cleo and another one after she had coloured it. So that might be worth having a little visit. I may try and do it in a video, but I would have to take, you know, print photographs of it, because the card obviously is no longer here. Cleo's got it, and she did have a lovely birthday. So thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, and do come back and see me very, very soon.